Your life is a lie. Everything you've been told about success, about happiness, about what it takes to make it in this world. It's all a comforting bedtime story designed to keep you docile and content with mediocrity. We're going to shatter those illusions. We're going to dive headfirst into a truth so powerful, so transformative, that it will forever change the way you see yourself and the world around you. Nobody cares about you. Now, I can almost hear the objections forming in your mind, but my family cares about me. My friends care about me, and you're right, to an extent. But in the grand tapestry of life, in this vast world of over 7 billion people, the harsh reality is that most people don't even know you exist. And of those who do, most are too caught up in their own struggles, their own ambitions, their own lives to give more than a passing thought to yours. This realization, as uncomfortable as it might seem at first, is actually the key to unlocking your true potential, is the secret to achieving greatness, to living a life of purpose and fulfillment. When we say nobody cares about you, we're not saying that you're worthless or unlovable, far from it. What we're saying is that the world doesn't owe you anything. Your success, your happiness, your life, it's all in your hands. And that, my friends, is the most liberating truth you will ever encounter. How many times have you held back from pursuing your dreams because you were worried about what others might think? How often have you settled for less than you deserve because you were afraid of disappointing someone else's expectations? How many opportunities have slipped through your fingers because you were waiting for someone else's permission or approval? Well, guess what? None of that matters anymore because nobody cares. Nobody cares if you fail. Nobody cares if you succeed. Nobody cares if you stay exactly where you are for the rest of your life. And in that indifference lies your freedom. You are free to chase your wildest dreams without fear of judgment. You are free to reinvent yourself as many times as you need to find your true calling. You are free to make mistakes, to fall flat on your face, and to get back up again, stronger than ever. Because at the end of the day, the only person whose opinion truly matters is you. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Isn't this a rather bleak worldview? Doesn't it paint a picture of a cold, uncaring universe? And to that, I say absolutely not. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Once you internalize this truth, once you truly understand that nobody cares about you, you will find yourself caring more about others because you will realize that just like you, everyone else is fighting their own battles, chasing their own dreams, and struggling with their own insecurities. This realization breeds empathy. It fosters connection. It allows you to approach others not from a place of neediness or expectation, but from a place of genuine curiosity and compassion. And ironically, it's this very attitude that will make people care about you more than ever before. But let's be clear, that's not the goal. The goal is to become so focused on your own growth, so committed to your own journey, that the opinions of others, positive or negative, become background noise. Now, I can already hear some of you protesting, but isn't this selfish? Shouldn't we care about what others think? And to that I say, there's a world of difference between being selfish and being self-focused. Being selfish means disregarding the needs and feelings of others in pursuit of your own desires. Being self-focused, on the other hand, means taking responsibility for your own life, your own happiness, and your own success. It means understanding that you can't pour from an empty cup, and that the best way to serve others is to first become the best version of yourself. When you're on an airplane, what does the flight attendant always say? In case of an emergency, put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others. Why? Because if you pass out from lack of oxygen, you can't help anyone else. The same principle applies to life. By focusing on your own growth, by pursuing your own passions, by building a life that fills you with purpose and joy, you're not being selfish, you're ensuring that you have the energy, the resources, and the emotional capacity to make a real difference in the world. When you stop caring about whether or not others care about you, when you start living life on your own terms, that's when people will be drawn to you like moths to a flame. They will be intrigued by your confidence, inspired by your passion, and motivated by your success. But remember, that's not the goal. The goal is to become so engrossed in the pursuit of your own potential that the approval or disapproval of others becomes irrelevant. Now, I know this might sound easier said than done. After all, we're social creatures. We're hardwired to seek approval, to crave acceptance, to fear rejection. But here's the thing, those instincts, while useful for our ancestors trying to survive in small tribal groups, are often more of a hindrance than a help in today's world. In today's world, conformity is the enemy of success. Playing it safe is the riskiest thing you can do, and caring too much about what others think is a surefire recipe for a life of mediocrity and regret. So how do we overcome these ingrained patterns? How do we truly internalize the liberating truth that nobody cares about us? Well, like any significant change, it starts with small, consistent steps. Step one, start making decisions based on what you want, not what you think others expect of you. It could be something as small as ordering what you really want at a restaurant instead of what you think you should have. Or as big as changing careers to pursue your true passion. Step two, practice saying no. No to commitments that don't align with your goals. No to relationships that drain your energy. No to anything that doesn't contribute to your growth or happiness. Remember, your time and energy are precious resources. You don't owe them to anyone. Step three, embrace failure as a learning opportunity. When you truly understand that nobody cares about you, the fear of failure loses its sting. So take risks. Try new things, push your boundaries, and when you fail, because you will fail. We all do. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and try again. Because guess what? Nobody cares about your failures except you. Step four, focus on personal growth. Invest in yourself. Read books, take courses, learn new skills. Not for a degree or a certificate, but for the sheer joy of expanding your mind and capabilities. Because at the end of the day, the only person you're competing with is the person you were yesterday. And the final step is five, practice self-compassion. This might seem counterintuitive after all. We're talking about how nobody cares about you, but that's precisely why you need to care about yourself. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a good friend. Celebrate your victories, no matter how small. Learn from your mistakes without beating yourself up over them. Now, as you start implementing these steps, you might notice something interesting happening. As you become more focused on your own growth, as you start living life on your own terms, you will likely find that people actually start caring about you more. They will be drawn to your authenticity, your passion, your drive. They will respect your boundaries and value your time. They will seek your advice and want to be in your presence. By this point, their approval or disapproval won't matter to you nearly as much as it used to, because you will have discovered a source of validation far more powerful and reliable than any external praise, your own self-approval. When you truly internalize the idea that nobody cares about you, you free yourself from the exhausting task of trying to please everyone. You stop living your life according to other people's expectations and start writing your own script. And that's when the magic happens. That's when you start attracting the right people into your life. People who resonate with your authentic self, who support your dreams, who challenge you to grow. People who care about you, not because they need something from you, but because they genuinely appreciate who you are. But even then, even when you're surrounded by people who truly care about you, you will never forget the fundamental truth that set you free in the first place. Nobody cares about you. And that's okay, because you care about you. And that's all that really matters. What this change of mindset can do for you in different aspects of your life. In your career, the realization that nobody cares about you can be incredibly empowering. It means you're free to take risks, to innovate, to challenge the status quo. Too often, we stay in jobs we hate or pursue careers we're not passionate about because we're afraid of disappointing others or because we're seeking validation from our peers, our parents, or society at large. But when you understand that nobody really cares about your career choices except you, you're free to pursue what truly excites you. You're free to start that business you've been dreaming about. You're free to switch industries, to go back to school, to take a sabbatical and figure out what you really want to do with your life. When you start doing work that you're genuinely passionate about, when you stop trying to impress others and start focusing on creating value, that's when professional success often follows, because passion is contagious. It shows in the quality of your work, in the energy you bring to your tasks, in the innovative solutions you come up with. People are drawn to those who are driven by genuine passion and purpose. They want to work with them, do business with them, learn from them, not because these people are trying to be impressive, but precisely because they're not trying to impress anyone. They're just doing what they love and doing it well. In your relationships, the understanding that nobody cares about you can lead to deeper, more authentic connections. When you stop trying to be what you think others want you to be, when you stop basing your worth on others' approval, you show up as your true self. And that authenticity is magnetic. We're all tired of superficial interactions, of people who are constantly posturing and pretending. We crave real connections with real people. When you embrace the fact that nobody cares about you, you free yourself to be real, to be vulnerable, to be honest about your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams, and your fears. And in doing so, you give others permission to do the same. You create a space where genuine connection can happen, where relationships can be based on mutual understanding and appreciation rather than neediness or obligation. This applies to all types of relationships: friendships, romantic partnerships, family relationships, professional networks. When you come from a place of self-sufficiency, when you're not desperately seeking approval or validation, you're able to give more freely, to love more unconditionally, to support others without expecting anything in return. And paradoxically, this often leads to receiving more love, more support, more genuine care from others, not because you're seeking it, but because you're embodying it. In your personal development journey, the realization that nobody cares about you can be a powerful catalyst for growth. When you stop worrying about others' opinions, you're free to focus on what really matters, becoming the best version of self. This means setting goals based on your own values and aspirations, not on what society deems successful. It means pursuing knowledge and skills that genuinely interest you, not just those that look good on a resume. It means taking care of your physical and mental health because you value yourself, not because you're trying to impress anyone. To invest in your own growth and well-being, to prioritize your own needs and desires, and this self-focus, far from making you selfish, actually equips you to make a bigger impact in the world. Because the truth is, we can only give what we have. We can only uplift others to the extent that we've uplifted ourselves. We can only spread positivity if we've cultivated it within ourselves first. So by focusing on your own growth, by continuously striving to become a better version of yourself, you're not just benefiting yourself, you're increasing your capacity to contribute to the world around you. You're becoming a source of inspiration, a dose for positive change, a light in the darkness. And the beautiful thing is, you're doing it not for recognition or praise, not for likes on social media or accolades from your peers. You're doing it because it's who you are, because it aligns with your values, because it brings you joy and fulfillment. In your approach to challenges and setbacks, the understanding that nobody cares about you can be incredibly liberating. When you stop worrying about how others will perceive your failures, you're free to take bigger risks, to experiment, to learn and grow through trial and error. Look at Howard Schultz, who was turned down by 242 banks before he secured funding for Starbucks. Or consider Sara Blakely, the founder of Spanx, who revolutionized the fashion industry after failing the LSAT twice and selling fax machines door to door. Even Elon Musk, before becoming a household name, faced repeated failures with SpaceX, including 3 consecutive rocket launch failures before finally achieving success. These stories remind us that resilience and perseverance are key ingredients in turning setbacks into stepping stones to greatness. What these individuals have in common is not just persistence, but a certain immunity to public opinion. They didn't let the fear of failure or the sting of rejection stop them. They understood on some level that nobody really cared about their failures, that the only opinion that truly mattered was their own. When you internalize this truth, failure loses its power over you. Rejection becomes just another step on the path to success. Setbacks become valuable learning experiences rather than reasons to give up. And this resilience, this ability to bounce back from failure and keep pushing forward, is often what separates those who achieve their dreams from those who don't. Not talent, not luck, but the simple willingness to keep trying, to keep learning, keep growing, regardless of what anyone else thinks. In your financial life, the realization that nobody cares about you can lead to smarter, more intentional decisions. Too often, we make financial choices based on what we think will impress others. We buy houses we can't afford, cars we don't need, gadgets that gather dust, all in an attempt to project a certain image to the world. But when you truly understand that nobody cares about your possessions, you're free to make financial decisions based on your own values and goals. You're free to live below your means, to save and invest for the future, to spend money on experiences that bring you joy rather than things that impress others. This doesn't mean you can't enjoy nice things. It just means that you're buying them because they genuinely add value to your life, not because you're trying to keep up with the Joneses. And this shift in mindset can lead to greater financial freedom, less stress, and a more satisfying relationship with money. In your spiritual or philosophical journey, the understanding that nobody cares about you can actually deepen your connection to something greater than yourself. When you stop seeking validation from others, you're free to explore your own beliefs, to question, to doubt, to grow in your understanding of the world and your place in it. This can lead to a more authentic spiritual practice, one that's based on genuine seeking rather than conformity to others' expectations. It can lead to a deeper sense of purpose, one that comes from within rather than being imposed from without. And ironically, this inner-directed spiritual journey often leads to a greater sense of connection to others and to the world at large. Because when you're not constantly worried about how you're being perceived, you're free to be fully present, to really see others, to really engage with the world around you. In your creative pursuits, the realization that nobody cares about you can unleash your full artistic potential. So many aspiring artists, writers, musicians, and creators hold back because they're afraid of criticism, of rejection, of not being good enough in the eyes of others. But when you understand that nobody really cares about your creative output except you, you're free to create for the pure joy of creation. You're free to experiment, to take risks, to develop your unique voice without worrying about whether it will be commercially successful or critically acclaimed. It's often this kind of authentic, uninhibited creativity that resonates most strongly with others, because it comes from a place of truth, of genuine self-expression, rather than a desire to please or impress. Some of the most groundbreaking artists in history were those who bucked conventions, who didn't care about fitting into existing categories or meeting others' expectations. They created what they wanted to create, expressed what they needed to express, and in doing so, they changed the face of their respective field. In your physical health and fitness journey, the realization that nobody cares about you can be a game changer. Too often, we approach health and fitness from a place of external validation. We try to lose weight to fit into society's beauty standards. We hit the gym to impress others with our physique. We jump on the latest diet trends because that's what everyone else is doing. But when you truly internalize that nobody cares about your fitness journey except you, everything changes. You start exercising because it makes you feel good, not because you're trying to impress anyone at the beach. You eat healthily because it gives you energy and vitality, not because you're trying to conform to some arbitrary standard of how you should look. This shift in mindset can lead to a much healthier, more sustainable approach to fitness. Instead of yo-yo dieting and extreme workout regimens that you can't maintain, you start making lifestyle changes that you can stick with long term. You find physical activities that you genuinely enjoy, rather than forcing yourself to do workouts you hate just because they're trendy. When you start approaching health and fitness from this place of self-care, rather than external validation, you often end up looking and feeling better than you ever did when you were trying to impress others. Because true health radiates from the inside out. It shows in your energy, your confidence, your zest for life, in your approach to learning and education. The understanding that nobody cares about you can be incredibly liberating. In our traditional educational system, we're often pushed to study certain subjects, to get certain grades, to pursue certain degrees, all based on what society deems valuable or prestigious. But when you realize that nobody really cares about your educational journey except you, you're free to pursue knowledge for its own sake, to study what genuinely interests you, regardless of whether it's considered practical or profitable, to measure your progress not by grades or degrees, but by your own growth and understanding. This doesn't mean you can't pursue formal education or professional qualifications. It just means you're doing it because it aligns with your goals and interests, not because you're trying to impress anyone or live up to someone else's expectations. And this intrinsic motivation, this genuine love of learning, is what often leads to true mastery and innovation in any field. The most groundbreaking discoveries, the most revolutionary ideas, often come from people who were driven by curiosity and passion, not by desire for external validation. In your approach to time management and productivity, the realization that nobody cares about you can lead to a much more effective and fulfilling use of your time. When you stop trying to live up to others' expectations of how busy or productive you should be, you can start aligning your time with your true priorities. You stop saying yes to commitments that don't serve you just because you're afraid of disappointing others. You stop multitasking and trying to do everything at once because you're no longer trying to prove your worth through busyness. Instead, you focus on what truly matters to you. You give yourself permission to rest when you need to pursue hobbies that might not be productive in the traditional sense, but that feed your soul. And paradoxically, this often leads to greater productivity in the areas that truly matter. Because when you're not spreading yourself thin trying to please everyone, when you're not wasting energy on tasks that don't align with your goals, you have more time and energy to devote to what's truly important to you. In your approach to social media and online presence, the understanding that nobody cares about you can be incredibly freeing. In today's digital age, it's easy to get caught up in the endless cycle of posting, checking likes, comparing ourselves to others carefully, curated online personas. We start to measure our worth by our follower count, our popularity by our engagement rates. But when you truly internalize that nobody cares about your online presence except you, you can start using social media in a way that genuinely enhances your life rather than detracts from it. You post what you want to post, when you want to post it. Without worrying about getting the perfect shot or crafting the wittiest caption, you engage with content that genuinely interests or inspires you, not because you're trying to network or increase your visibility. You might even find yourself using social media less, realizing that the real connections and experiences in your life are far more valuable than any online validation, and ironically, this authentic. Unbothered approach to social media often leads to a more genuine online presence that people are naturally drawn to. In your approach to personal style and self-expression, the realization that nobody cares about you can lead to a much more authentic and confident presentation of yourself to the world. When you stop dressing to impress others or to fit into certain trends, you're free to develop a personal style that truly reflects who you are. This doesn't mean you stop caring about your appearance altogether. It means you start caring for the right reasons. Because looking good makes you feel good, because your style is an expression of your personality. Because taking care of your appearance is a form of self-respect. When you start dressing for yourself rather than for others, you often end up looking more stylish and put together than you ever did when you were trying to follow trends or impress others. Because true style comes from confidence, from a sense of self that shines through regardless of what you're wearing. In your approach to decision-making, the understanding that nobody cares about you can lead to clearer, more confident choices. So often, we agonize over decisions, big and small, because we're worried about what others will think. We choose careers, partners, homes, even everyday purchases based on what we think will earn us approval or admiration from others. But when you realize that nobody really cares about your decisions except you, you're free to make choices based on what truly aligns with your values, your goals, your desires. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop seeking endless advice and validation from others before making a move. This doesn't mean you can't seek input or consider how your decisions might affect others. It just means that at the end of the day, you trust yourself to make the right choice for you. And this self-trust, this ability to make decisions without constantly seeking external validation, is a crucial component of personal empowerment and success. In your approach to failure and setbacks, the realization that nobody cares about you can be incredibly liberating. When you stop worrying about how others will perceive your failures, you're free to take bigger risks, to push yourself further, to learn and grow from your mistakes without being paralyzed by shame or embarrassment. You start to see failure not as a reflection of your worth, but as a natural part of the learning process. You understand that every successful person has a long list of failures behind them, and that these failures were crucial stepping stones on their path to success. And when you do face setbacks or disappointments, you're able to bounce back more quickly because you're not wasting energy worrying about what others think or trying to save face. You're focused on learning from the experience, on figuring out how to do better next time, on keeping your eyes on your ultimate goals and your approach to success and achievement. The understanding that nobody cares about you can lead to a much more fulfilling and sustainable form of accomplishment when you stop chasing success to impress others or to prove your worth. You start pursuing goals that truly matter to you. You define success on your own terms, based on your own values and aspirations, not on society's often narrow and materialistic definitions. You celebrate your achievements not because they earn you admiration from others, but because they represent growth, progress, and alignment with your personal vision. When you stop trying to impress others with your accomplishments, when you start pursuing success for your own satisfaction, that's often when you achieve the kind of success that does impress others. Because there's something magnetic about a person who's driven by genuine passion and purpose, rather than a need for external validation. In your approach to aging and mortality, the realization that nobody cares about you can bring a profound sense of peace and purpose. When you stop worrying about how others perceive your age, when you stop trying to live up to society's often unrealistic expectations of what you should have achieved by certain milestones, you're free to age on your own terms. You start to see each year as a gift, an opportunity for continued growth and new experiences, rather than a countdown to irrelevance. You focus on maintaining your health and vitality because it allows you to fully engage with life, not because you're trying to cling to youth or meet other standards of how you should look or act at a certain age. And when it comes to confronting your own mortality, the understanding that nobody cares about you can actually bring a sense of liberation. It frees you to live fully in the present, to pursue what truly matters to you, to create a legacy based on your own values, rather than on what you think others will remember or admire. In your approach to personal growth and self-improvement, the realization that nobody cares about you can be a powerful motivator. When you stop trying to improve yourself to meet others' expectations or to earn their approval, you start focusing on the areas of growth that truly matter to you. You pursue new skills and knowledge because they interest you or because they align with your personal goals, not because they will look good on a resume or impress your peers. You work on your personal development not to become what others think you should be, but to become the best version of yourself as you define it. And this intrinsic motivation, this genuine desire for self-improvement, is what often leads to the most profound and lasting changes, because you're not doing it for anyone else. You're doing it for you. The realization that nobody cares about you is not a reason for despair, but a call to freedom. It's an invitation to live life on your own terms, to pursue your passions without fear of judgment, to define success according to your own values. It's a reminder that the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself, that the most important opinion about your life is your own, that the most important validation comes not from others, but from within. So embrace this truth. Let it liberate you from the need for constant approval. Let it empower you to take risks, to be authentic, to pursue what truly matters to you. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. You're the one who has to live it. You're the one who has to answer to yourself. And when you start living from this place of self-reliance and self-respect, something magical happens. You start attracting people who appreciate you for who you truly are. You start creating a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. You start making a difference in the world, not because you're trying to, but because you're fully expressing your unique gifts and passions. Remember, the world doesn't need another carbon copy, another person living according to someone else's script. The world needs you, the real you, the authentic you, the you that emerges when you stop caring about what everyone else thinks and start living according to your own truth.